Ionian resolved and unresolved. So what we're going to be talking about here are chord progressions and how they actually work. This is probably the most important topic that I teach. I've never seen this done adequately, or usually it's ignored. I don't even hear it talked about when people are talking about chord progressions. But this is a big one. And we're going to be talking about this obviously in relation to Ionian, the Ionian scale, which in terms of progressions, that means we're going to talk about the G major 7 chord a lot. So this all stems from the fact that the fourth interval is unresolved in the Ionian scale. So whether you play the scale and you're soloing, or you're playing the chord and you add the 4 in, regardless of whether you're soloing or playing the chord, the 4 needs resolution. Otherwise you get unwanted tension. Now, it's going to be easier in our discussion here to refer to this as the C note most of the time. So G Ionion's 4 is the C note. All right, so we'll mostly refer to it as that, the C note. So when G major 7 is being played, I can play all 6 of the other notes in the scale, or if I'm playing a chord, I could play all 6 other notes without creating a problem, because again, the C is the only one that creates the unwanted tension. So what would happen, for example, if I played some other chord in the key when the song said to play G major 7? So the song says play G major 7, but I play some other chord in the key. Now, why would I even think to do that? Well, because all chords in the key come from the same group of 7 notes, and in this Ionian scale, I can play all but one of them, so maybe I could play some of these other chords. So for example, if the song said G major 7, but I played an A minor 7, how's that going to sound? Well, it's not going to sound very good because A minor 7 has a C note in it. So it's not the other notes in the A minor 7 chord that are going to create a problem. It's simply the C note. So that being the case though, A minor 7 is not a good chord to play if the song says play G major 7. Well, let's go through all the chords in the key and see what notes are in those chords. So G major 7 itself, G, B, D, and F sharp. Obviously, the G major 7 chord is resolved to itself. We just said that the A minor 7 chord, which is A, C, E, and G, has a C note in it, obviously. That's not going to work. B minor 7, B, D, F sharp, and A. There's no C note in that. So we're going to pretend that the chord says G major 7 in the song. That means the bass player is most likely going to be playing a G root. And not to confuse roots here, I'm going to play this B minor 7 chord way up here. So this is a B minor 7 chord. All right? But with a G root, in reality, that's just a G major 9 chord. So I could think and play lots of B minor 7 chords all over the place when the song says to play G major 7. Why? Because in reality it's a G major 9 chord if I play B minor 7. Alright, what about C major 7, the 4 chord in the key? Well, obviously that's got a C note in it. That's not going to work when the song says play G major 7. The 5 chord, D, which is D7, D, F sharp, A, and C. Nope, it's got a C note in it. The 6 chord, E minor 7, E, G, B, and D. There's no C note in it. So if I played an E minor 7 chord, right, so here's an E minor 7, with a G on the bottom, that's nothing more than a G major 6 chord. So I could use it. The 7 chord in the key, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, F sharp, A, C, E. Nope, it's got the C note in it. So here's what we've just discovered. The 1 chord, G major 7, the 3 chord, B minor 7, and the 6 chord, E minor 7, are all resolved to the G major 7 chord, meaning I could play them if I wanted to in place of the G major 7. Now, if the bass player is playing a G root, you're not really playing them in place of the G major 7. You're using them as ideas that are just going to give you different voicings of the G major chords. But those are very useful ideas. That opens up your chord playing to include a lot more voicings, ways of playing chords. So any way you know how to play a B minor 7, again, so that you don't clash with the bass player, don't play your roots certainly on the 6th string and maybe not even on the 5th string. Keep these to the top 4 strings. So the 1 chord, the 3 chord, and the 6 chord all resolve to G major 7. That means the 2, the 4, the 5, and the 7 chords are all unresolved to G major 7. They're not going to sound good if you play them in place of G major 7 or as ideas for G major 7. So now we have these categories, and you may want to write all this stuff down. 3 chords resolved to G major 7 itself. 4 chords are unresolved. So let's talk about listening to music. When you listen to music, you're hearing movement with sound. This movement is created by chords that move from resolved to unresolved, or vice versa. You can go either way with these things. It doesn't matter. There's an easy way that you can try to listen for this when you listen to any song. Put on a song, and within that song, there are going to be certain chords that even if you're into the song for 20 seconds, there's going to be a chord in there somewhere that the song theoretically could end on that chord without it sounding wrong, even if it was a very short song. There are going to be other chords in that song that if you stopped the song on any one of those particular chords, it's not going to sound right. It's going to sound unfinished. Well, what you're hearing is resolved and unresolved chords. Happens in just about every song. I would suggest trying to listen for that in songs. Don't start with complicated songs. Start with like very easy songs. You know, ones that don't have a lot of chords. It might be a little bit more easy to listen for this in the beginning. So we have these categories of resolved and unresolved. 1, 3, and 6 chords, all resolved to the 1 chord. 2, 4, 5, and 7 chords out of the key, they are unresolved. Well, here's what happens when you play these one after the other. Not right on top of each other like we were just explaining before to get these categories. Now I'm talking about what happens if you play an unresolved chord and then go to a resolved chord. Well, you're going to hear the movement that I was just talking about. So if I make up a little progression here, it goes A minor 7, G major 7. Let's just listen to it, and I'm going to do it over a few times. Does it sound right to end my little song on that A minor 7? No, it doesn't. It sounds right to resolve it or end it on this G major 7. Why? Because A minor 7 is unresolved to G major 7. So now when you play these unresolved or resolved chords one after the other, you create this movement and rest, or tension and release. Same thing. This is very important. What it means is the 2, 4, 5, and 7 chords all have the same function, the same use in this situation. They are all going to create movement in relation to that G major 7 chord. And we're just going to keep concentrating, even though I said B minor 7 and E minor 7 are resolved to the G major 7, for now, so that we get our ears attuned to this a little bit sooner, we're just going to keep playing the G major 7 for the resolved. We're not going to right now look at the B minor 7 and E minor 7 as resolved chords, even though you could do that. So we just listened to A minor 7 to G major 7. Well, here's C major 7 to G major 7. It's going to have the same exact effect. Again, does it sound right to end it there? No. It would sound right to end it on the G major 7. Now, A minor 7, an A minor 7 chord doesn't sound exactly like a C major 7 chord. Nor is A minor 7 going to sound like the F sharp minor 7 and flat 5 or the D7? But any of these unresolved chords that we use are what you would call different harmonies of the same thing. The same thing being unresolved chords that are going to move to a resolved chord. So we have different harmonies. If I use F sharp, well, I'll do the D7. So D7. Doesn't sound finished until I get to the G major 7. Same thing with F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Sound finished at all. That does. So hopefully everybody hears that. Proof that what we're talking about is true, that the 2, 4, 5, and 7 chords create movement or tension in relation to the G major 7 chord. So the next thing, there's one more thing that we can talk about here quickly. If it's the C note that's doing this, I can actually play G suspended to G, and it's going to have the same effect, right? So it's the C note that's making these other chords be unresolved to the G major 7. It's the C note in all of them that are creating this. So what if I just take a G major chord and stick a C in it? Well, then I'm going to be unresolved, and then all I need to do is resolve it. So another way that you can think about this is G suspended to G. Unresolved. Resolved. Okay, so this gets into reharmonization also, the basics of it. There's a reharmonizing songs and all of that. That's a big topic. But this will also allow you to begin to understand the basics of that. And what I mean is, let's say a song was written with the chords A minor 7 to G major 7. Well, you can change the A minor 7 to any one of those other unresolved chords if you want. And it's going to have the same function, the same use. What you'll get is a different harmony. Like I said, C major 7 doesn't sound just like A minor 7. So if I so-called substitute C major 7 instead of the A minor 7, I'm going to get a different sound. Or if I use D7, or if I use F sharp minor 7 flat 5, they're all going to give me different sounds. And in a particular song, you may decide that one sounds way better than the other, but my point is that functionally they all work because they all do the same thing. G major 7, you could also play B minor 7 or E minor 7. So there starts to become many ways that you can hook chords together when you're simply trying to play unresolved to resolved, or vice versa. So the next thing that we're going to be looking at in the next video is how to solo over these things. But what I would do with these chords is, even though I just demonstrated these things, I would do these things yourself and really listen to them so that you really get this sound in your head. Another point I should make is, if the song is written A minor 7 to G major 7, and we know that, let's say it's 2 bars of the A minor 7 and 2 bars of the G major 7, and we know that A minor 7 is unresolved and G major 7 is resolved, then why couldn't I add another chord into the first 2 measures? Why can't I go... Well, you can. You can add in any of the unresolved chords. So what I just did was take something that was written simpler with 1 unresolved chord, and I put 2 unresolved chords in. Well, you could use all 4 of them if you felt like it. So you can start to take a simple progression, something written simply, and make it more complex. You could also do the reverse. What if it was written with a bunch of unresolved chords? You could keep it to 1 unresolved chord if you wanted to. All right, so that's all stuff to listen to and think about. Next video, we're going to be soloing over unresolved and resolved. See ya.